Welcome to Tech Confidential. I'm Mary Kathleen Flynn with Behind the Money. I'm here with Adeo Ressi, who's the founder of thefunded.com, previously known to most of us as TED, because you were anonymous. You started The Funded originally, as I understand it from what you've told me, as a sort of a personal project to help you figure out the next venture capitalist that you wanted to work with.
Right.
But it's really taken on a life of its own. So how has your vision changed, and what is thefunded.com today?
I would say that it's all just been a really large, pleasant surprise to see how entrepreneurs have really glommed on to being a member. They actually take their membership very personally. They defend the site vehemently in the media when it gets slandered, which happens. So everything's just been a complete pleasant surprise. The real trick now is just the members have very clear opinions about what they want to see and what they want to have as tools, and to keep pace with those tools is tricky.
Well, you're certainly working to change the relationship, the sort of the balance of power between entrepreneurs and investors. So what are some of the additional tools that you think entrepreneurs need to really restore that balance?
Well, so outside of the subjective feedback, which is there now, we've added objective term sheet posting. In fact, I just spoke with a CEO moments ago, and he said, wow, that's a great idea. I should upload my term sheet on a deal that he just closed. Now, the concept there is you have an objective market for what venture capitalists are offering companies for their preferred stock. Essentially, an objective market for the value of preferred stock. Now, that's never been done before. So that I think is a big one, tethering the subjective with the objective. Next, it's very important for CEOs to bound together and help one another through the difficult pitching process that exists today. It can take 12 or more months to close a deal. In fact, many of the term sheets are being uploaded have how long it's taken, and I'm shocked. It's always 12 months or more. So the idea is that by tying together the fates of these CEOs, they can help one another get faster introductions, faster meetings, and faster follow-up with funds, and therefore essentially crowdsource closing financing going forward. So this CEO who's done a deal with this fund will walk me in and help me accelerate the process of closing that deal.
You know, I've talked to a lot of people who, while they admire what you're doing and admire the increase of transparency, they are also concerned about the anonymity and wondering, how do you balance the accountability? How do you make people who are anonymous accountable for what they're saying? And how do you not have somebody with an axe to grind skewing everything?
Well, there's no question that the anonymity leads to both excessively positive and excessively negative reviews today. And I would say that a large percentage of both the excessively positive and excessively negative reviews are in fact unsubstantiated and uncredible. But here's the thing, you're dealing with an audience of readers that are CEOs and venture capitalists. These are generally pretty smart people, and they're not your average MySpace user reading a Amazon.com review. So you can gauge very easily by just reading the content what the motive behind its authorship is.
Well, you brought up size. Some people I've talked to, like Fred Wilson, who has done very well on the site. I mean, he was voted the most popular, not the most popular, it's not a popularity contest.
The nicest.
But the nicest to work with venture capitalist by the member community. But and I'm sure he's pleased with that, but he said to me, it's not a very large sample size for each venture capitalist. So how do you counter that?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point. However, there's 5,300 members of the site. Last year, globally, there was something, according to the NVCA, there's approximately 3,000 companies that were financed. So there are more CEOs that are members of the site than there are companies that were financed in the last 12 months. Now, and we're taking in 300 new CEO or 400 new CEO applications per day. Now, when you're talking about 5,300, proven CEOs that we can vet who they say they are, I don't know how much better an audience you can get to review funds. So I would just contest Fred by saying, Fred, you're right. We have not hundreds of thousands of users, but the users we have are definitively experts. They're definitively top of their field, and while it may not be a huge sample size, it's probably the most important sample size you could ever pick from.
Adeo Ressi, thank you very much for coming from thefunded.com. I'm Mary Kathleen Flynn from Tech Confidential's Behind the Money.